going to happen here because King looked a little bit shaky, but if they manage to pull out some form from this, from the momentum that they would have gained from that victory, then I'm really scared for World Elite.
Yeah, I mean, King look good when they're aggressive if they can afford it, and really good when they're fighting when they're even or ahead. So if either of those things are true for King, then they'll be fine. And World Elite just need to maybe either commit harder to their game plan or execute a little tighter towards the late stages of the game.
Yeah.
Or just go full early game and have Spirit get in there on something like Lee Sin, which he played well, or even the Jarvan that he's had a lot of success on in the LPL.
Yeah, but it is going to be Kassadin and Thresh banned away here from King, so definitely respecting Yuji on that champion, not wanting him to be back on that. And so far for World Elite, same sort of bans to come through.
Yeah, I love the Thresh ban, actually. UJ was basically the sole reason that World Elite were able to get themselves going in towards the mid-game, and credit to Spirit there as well. He did a lot of work keeping the lanes up and even ganking for Ninjas and Nivea, which was a kind of a weird thing to say, but actually worked wonderfully together. So UJ was a big reason that World Elite had so many good team fights in a row, but they just could never initiate without a Threshold. So King and Seb just going to take it away.
Yep, make sure the World Elite have no ways to initiate. That's going to work out. We'll see what they decide to do as far as their final ban is concerned. I think it was Jarvan, the last ban here for these teams. We'll see whether that's going to be the same thing or whether they're going to mix it up here. King taking a little while to actually decide on what to do. It is going to be Nidalee, though, and that was actually, it was the previous series that Jarvan was banned out. Yeah,
it makes a lot of sense again. Nidalee very strong there for Spirit, who does like to play. I think Ninja might even have some plays on that champion. Not in the LPL necessarily, at least this season, but in general, he seems, I'm pretty sure he's a big Nidalee player. So World Elite instead going to consider the next few picks here, and this would be quite an interesting one. It is locked in there for World Elite.
Yeah, going to take away the Rek'Sai here for Spirit, so making sure MLXG didn't have that champion, and he was fantastic on that guy. And of course, we saw Huey earlier on picking up a pentakill at about 7 minutes. Rek'Sai still very, very strong.
Yeah, we've seen some awesome Rek'Sai play today. Of course, Dandy probably standing out the most there from VG Gaming, but MLXG had a fine game there as well. And Spirit's a very strong jungler, so I'm sure he's on top of the Rek'Sai as well. But these would do very strong picks here for King, and I'm curious that they didn't ban Ahri.
Yeah, and Assassin just going to pick that one up yet again. Easy peasy. Wushin going to take away the Corki as well. And I mean, we talk about the fact that comfort picks are very, very good for these guys because it means that you know exactly what's going on. And of course, you don't need to change your mindset at all moving into another series. And straight away, the 2 carries from last game just going to lock in their picks. World Elite now have an opportunity to mix things up, of course, with the Rek'Sai now in their back pocket. They have that opportunity, but interesting hovers to come through, and we'll see whether it changes up.
So I was about to say that I hope Aluka plays a tank, and Sion was the one I wanted to see him on. Cho'Gath is kind of the same thing, so I'm not surprised he hovered it there, but Rek'Sai Sion's actually an amazing CC combo. If World Elite couldn't get in last game, they absolutely can now.
Oh, yeah, and, you know, having that unstoppable onslaught, you have no choice but to engage.
And it's just so good. Sion is best used when he has good setup CC for himself, and he's not bad at that, but it's not the best, but she's fine. She can at least start a stun for you. Sion, when he gets in, kind of wants to channel that Q and make sure he gets a knock-up, and Rek'Sai is really good at following in after a Sion Q and helping combo all of the knock-ups together. Sion doesn't do a lot of damage, but he sponges a lot of damage for sure, and he's got an amazing amount of CC, especially if you can set it up for him.
Yeah, and Assassin now hovering this Rengar for MLXG, sort of the pick that he could go to. Of course, Lee Sin is an option that he has played before, but it is going to be Rengar and Lamb on a very comfortable Janna.
Yeah, I mean, Janna's a great pick here, so Lamb is going to get that. It was taken or banned away here in World Elite. They're done with the picks.
Yep, no time wasted, and that's a Cho'Gath in the mid lane.
Yeah, it seems like they might be smiling there. They clearly had something prepared here, but I assume this means that that's Cho'Gath mid for a Ninja, which again is going to add to his what in the world does Ninja play champion pool. But yeah, I do like the Kalista here for SDYZ. It's actually a very good comp to set up Kalista. They don't have a lot of peel for us, so they'll have to be careful there, but they've got lots of good setup CC. And Kalista, all she wants is to be able to free hit with a Hurricane.
Yeah, and actually Sky taking a little bit of time to work out what he wants to play there on the top side of the map. Has an opportunity to even out that win rate on Aurelia if he locks that one in, and that does seem to be the option taken here, but against Sion, the Mega Tank, you're probably not going to see too much action there on the top side of the map.
No, and Sky is going to go back to Aurelia, so that's actually a fine pick, as almost always Aurelia is against the Sion. Cho's in the mid lane for some reason.
Yep.
Aurelia. I'm curious that STYZ didn't pick Sivir. That's actually an awesome Sivir comp, but they could have gone with. But I guess that probably leaves them way too low on damage, given that they've got Sion, Cho'Gath, Yeah, probably leaves them too low in damage. So instead, they'll take the hyper carry once again for STYZ. Curious to see him pick Kalista over Jinx, given that they both would have been okay. But Kalista probably just a bit safer. And, of course, Kalista Annie's pretty good as well.
Yeah, and they were sort of lacking engage last time. Now they've got Fate's Call, Tibbers, Unstoppable Onslaught, lots of different options. They could even go in after a Rupture.
They've got good follow-up CC with Cho'Gath as well. It's funny that we talk about Sion having great follow-up CC once he's set up, and he's pretty good at setting up. Rek'Sai's not bad as well with a Flash and Burrow, and Cho'Gath also has good follow-up CC. So there is potentially something like 10 seconds worth of CC that World Elite can throw in an AoE here. The issue, though, last time they had good damage between STYZ's Hypercarry and Ninja's Anivia. Now, basically all of the damage has to come from STYZ's Kalista. Yeah,
and it's going to be pretty frightening because, of course, STYZ has to be very far forward, and that puts you in range of a Skyblade Surge or potentially even that Phosphorus Bomb to come through from Wushin, and we saw that they're deadly.
Yeah, and again, just a bit more of a balanced comp here from King as well. A lot of comfort for them. Assassin going to replay Ahri here. MLXG's back on Rengar, which seems to be his most favorite champion, at least. He's played it quite a lot already in the LPL. And Sky, of course, back on that Aurelia that we famously talked about for Game 1.
Yeah, so it's comfort versus mixing it up, but guys, let's get onto the Rift. And we're onto the Rift with World Elite taking on King here. Yes, the bit of a zoom in onto Battlecast Cho'Gath, looking adorable in his tiny little state. Trying to feel like a badass. Just going to start pumping out them beats. You can see maybe a little bit of action going on, but we want to hang out and listen to some sweet tunes.
Yeah, I mean, Ninja going to revisit a very old-school champion here in AP Cho'Gath. It's an interesting one to take into Ahri. I feel like he must feel very safe here in this lane. Again, Ninja seems to prefer safe mid laners that are a little old, it seems like, with Anivia in this one, and Cho'Gath now in the mid lane.
Maybe his decline isn't patched.
Hasn't been patched since 2012.
Yeah, he's sitting on like 2.4 or something like that.
Maybe. But again, it's a fairly safe lane for Ninja. Ahri can't really do that much against Cho'Gath without good jungle pressure, and Rengar can provide that, but Cho'Gath, good at sustain, got great CC, great wave clear. That's all the things that Ninja loves.
Yeah, and if he manages to build enough AP that while he has Assassin silenced, he can just Rupture and eat her, then, I mean, that could be a thing.
Yeah, I mean, Cho'Gath does decent damage, at least with his ultimate. And yeah, if you could find any of the setup CC that World Elite have given to themselves, you can absolutely just pick people off with all the CC you have and use Cho'Gath very well. Again, if World Elite start the right team fights in the mid game, it's going to be a really easy time against King, but King have lots of opportunities to snowball this game early and a lot of really strong mid-game champions around the first few Dragon fights.
Yeah, and they've got 3 mega tanks here as well in Spirit, Aluka, and Ninja. If Ninja is going to build, like, a lot of these sort of mid-lane Cho'Gath still decide to go with the likes of a Frozen Heart because they love having a lot of cooldown reduction. But we'll see what happens. Aluka doing some cute little things, taking, I believe it was the Raptors.
Yeah.
Just going to die.
Yeah, Luca, after his performance last game, does kill himself. No, just joking. Sion instead is going to make sure he takes the Raptor camp early, use the teleport, and go back to his lane, which it seems like is going to be a 2v1 at this point, because we did actually have a lane swap start here.
Yeah, so he starts, gets to level 2, and goes, oh, my lane's been frozen, so I may as well just walk.
Yeah, which is fine. Actually, that's very good presence of mind there from Aluka, and Ninja going to get focused early.
Yeah, Ninja actually in a fair bit of trouble, but Assassin goes down low. The double Rupture is beautiful and just lists lazily out of the way of the members of King. Beautiful play from Ninja.
Yeah, Assassin, no charm back up there as well to keep going, and Ninja doesn't even use a summoner spell there, just comes in with the Rupture. A little too close together there for King, and it might be a while since they've played against Cho'Gath.
Yeah, unable on the sort of Rupture has a deceptively long range. You can put that down quite a distance away from yourself, so Ninja, despite having a lot of attention early on, still going to be fine.
And remember, one of the changes they made a long time ago to Cho'Gath was Rupture is now consistent in its casting delay. So if you're practiced on the champion, and I assume Ninja is, given that he's picked it here, he's going to almost always nail them, especially if he's had some help setting it up. And, you know, Kalista's not too bad at even setting up for CC. You continually rend through people, and there's just so much follow-up for World Elite. Basically, all their comp wants to do is make sure STYZ free hits as much as possible on Kalista.
Yeah, and everybody else's job is to make people unable to do stuff.
Yep, exactly.
That's the comp.
And that's one of the best ways to set up a hyper carry. It's just a matter of, can STYZ get through his lane effectively? Although they have actually lane swap, so that's good there. And Spirit's down the bottom onto Whoosh, but they'll back away.
Yeah, it does have that Valkyrie available in order to get himself out of trouble, but Spirit almost manages to do some work there as Sky going to take another Ren stack, and Yuji nicely using the passive here from that Sentinel that STYZ has.
Yeah, this is actually a really good swap here from World Elite. I mean, we talked about Skies Aurelia being a problem before. It's a kind of an even matchup against the Luca, but you don't really want to give Aurelia free farm. So she's fine in a 1v2, but Kalista doesn't really want the Corki matchup either. So World Elite, by swapping out, you actually set both of their all of their carries up very well. I mean, Ninja's safe anyway in this lane. He doesn't really mind. Aluk is going to be fine there under his turret on the Sion, and most importantly, SDYZ gets the farm that he needs.
Yeah, you can see both of these AD carries very comfortably sitting at very similar CS as Sky, just going to be sort of a makeshift AD carry here on the top side of the map with Lamb just helping him out. And we'll see whether MLXG can get anything done here as he is lurking towards the bottom side. Ninja going to continue to clear out these waves. And Vorpal Spikes are pretty handy as far as getting that wave clear on, but he's going to have to wait until that Rupture's leveled up before he can do any sort of from range wave clear. Yeah,
there's actually some really good wave clear across the board for World Elite. The Hurricane Kalista is obviously very good, especially going forward at clearing waves quickly, and both Cho'Gath and Sion are very good AoE wave clear as well. So again, World Elite going to play patiently, try and look towards the mid-later stages of the game, and we'll see if they can initiate the teamfights they want this time.
Yeah, Spirit now going to be clearing away this Gromp, and nothing of note really happening just yet. Just some nice farming to come through from World Elite, keeping them ahead on this goal just a little bit. But apart from that, nothing really to report back. You can see, of course, extra members here on the top side of the map. Dragon going to be more difficult to get to.
Yeah, and as we look down as well, just actually checked in on Spirit for a quick second, just to see what he's gone for as far as build, because we haven't seen mid-Cho'Gath, sorry, Ninja I meant, not Spirit. He's actually gone for 3 points in the silence here early on, which makes plenty of sense against a spellcaster like Ari.
Yeah, and you can also clear out waves a little bit more instantly as well.
Yeah, it's
that spell.
It's just a bit more mana efficient as well. The cooldown's a bit lower. It's a very good wave clear spell. He's going to help with his E here as well, just continually trim the wave wherever he wants it to be. And Cho'Gath with the passive always been a very safe laner. Even in a short lane, he's totally fine.
Yep, you can see Assassin, though, of course, very comfortable on this Ari, able to keep his farm very, very even, as Ninja has actually missed out on a few. Rupture not going to find Assassin, but Spirit Rush is there now, so this Ari is in no way in any trouble from this Cho'Gath until he manages to pick up a few extra items, you have to think.
Yeah, no, this will just be a farm lane here, which is what Ninja's completely comfortable with. What is still bad news here for King is that SDYZ's had a free lane here. He's actually ahead of a Corki now in CS as well. And a free farm Kalista is very scary. You really need your 2 major items to kind of get going, but especially if he goes Hurricane first, he has a really good transition point to go from. So look for what SDYZ does once you get Hurricane, because that's sort of like turbo free farm mode for Kalista.
Oh no, the charm misses coming through from Assassin here as the yell lands on Lamb, who's level 3. That is terrible. Spirit Rush, one last charge. Oh, the flash out of the way of the Orbit Deception. And Spirit survives, but you have to think those charms have got to land from Assassin.
Yeah, Assassin going in there, and unfortunately for him, didn't land them, but a beautiful double silence there. Lamb actually has to be careful.
Yeah, Luca comes through. There's the knock up, the flash here as well, and Ninja just eats him. Unfortunately, doesn't get a stack.
Yeah, didn't quite do it. Didn't have enough damage, unfortunately, but still gets the kill. And that's what I was talking about when I talked about a train of CC on the World Elite side. That was a Sion knock-up into a Silence, into a Cho'Gath knock-up there. And there's nothing poor level 3 Lamb could do.
Yeah, and you have to think that, I mean, that could have been any number of combinations of champions, because when you're at level 3 Janna, things are a problem.
Yeah, absolutely. But unfortunately for Lamb, takes a lot of damage anyway, but it didn't really matter. They could have tickled Dana to death with all that CC, and Annie actually doing something a little different. I've been wondering if anyone's going to do this, but UJ is going to help the push out here. He's got a Relic Shield on this Annie.
Yeah, and I find that a little bit frustrating because we didn't see the Relic Shield picked up on Veigar. It would have been so cool, because Assassin's going to flash here in the mid lane as well, so that's exciting. But I want to talk about Relic Shields.
I mean, now there's unfortunately no more Veigar in the LPL, apparently. It's got played, once or twice today, and then banned every other game so far that we've seen. So it may still happen. We'll have to see. But I do like it from Annie. Face of the Mountain's great. You have to protect STYZ.
Yeah.
Again, the Talisman, you don't need it in this comp because you already have so much initiation. I would have preferred UJ to have it in the last one, actually, but in top lane.
STYZ in so much trouble. Empowered Bowler going to finish that one up. There's the Chilling Smite. Another one comes through. UJ, it's your turn to die, and he's going to fall down. MLXG, beautiful play.
Yeah, and Rengar gets his ultimate and makes it really count there in the top side of the map. STYZ was very greedy, not going for a shop earlier. Does now have a recurve, Boso building in towards his Hurricane first, but not enough vision there for the Rengar, and an easy double kill for those 3.
Yeah, actually waiting to finish his Hurricane already as Wushin not going to take some damage from that Q. I think he needs about 1,500. Yes, does manage to get enough in order to pick up that Hurricane. So nicely done by SDYZ. We'll see whether that death is going to put him behind. As you can see, Wushin has caught back up in farm.
Yeah, I mean, Wush doing fine. Again, Corki going to have a very strong mid-game whenever he gets his Trinity Force. Fade is a great item right now. I think Kalista, at this specific point in the matchup, is going to rotate down because just a Phage on the Corki is not too bad, and she can kind of just push out the wave non-interactively and keep Corki back because it's hard for Corki to duel her right now, especially with Annie threatening a stun always. So this is the point now. SDYZ needs to get to his second item. How fast does he get there with his Hurricane? That's the big question.
Yeah, we'll see whether they do manage to, of course. Has found his way back to the lane, and actually Wushin... oh, there's the flash into the stun here onto Assassin. Just gets yelled at. And he's going to fall down here as well. And UJ just says, nope, you're dead.
Yeah, Ninja again denied a feast stack, unfortunately, but you can see how much damage it does. And again, so much CC here on Waterlead's team comp. They're making it work with some early picks, and they've gotten themselves a pretty little gold lead.
Yeah, and you can see both of these mid laners actually really enjoying this Blasting Wand and Fiendish Codex combo. So wanting to go for probably a Morellonomicon and that Abyssal Scepter together, but just want to build up a bit of each.
Yeah, and Waterlead doing a good job here with their Kalista as well. Going to actually take the Dragon very easily. They also have Cho'Gath Feast, or didn't even think about that as far as neutrals go, but actually going to leave it. SDYZ walks away with a bunch of speeds in the Dragon, but Spirit does smite it away.
Yep, just saying, no, you can work for it yourself. One thing that Wushin has managed to do, though, is because he's been in a solo lane, he's got a 2-level advantage, and as a Corki, that is a big deal.
Yeah, and Sion was the one getting all the levels, although it's actually matching experience now with Sky, so didn't get a massive lead there when he was sort of down solo in a 1v2, I believe. I mean, it's not good because Corki does so much damage with his spells, but again, all Kalista wants to do is play safe and get farm here. Once she gets either the Blade or the Bloodthirster, and I'm assuming it's the Bloodthirster in this comp, Kalista can start really influencing teamfights, and Waterlead have a big opportunity to make their team comp work.
Yeah, and as far as this sort of experience division is concerned, I mean, it's Lamb that's really suffering now because only level 5 on this Janna, but it has meant that this Aurelia and Corki now have advantages in their respective lanes. And do you think that's going to work out here for King?
I mean, King, again, are looking to the same power spike they found last game with the double Trinity Forces. They're actually doing pretty well so far. Aurelia's got 800 gold stacked up, and Corki has 760. Aluka can eat a couple damage there, but Sion, pretty tanky here. He's got a Glacial Shroud as well, working on an early Frozen Heart. I love that pickup from Sion.
Oh, yeah, of course. Can stack up his health passively using his passive, of course, just by getting a kill on something. So wants to make sure he's got as many resistances as possible, and he'll just become immortal.
Yeah, and again, we talk about Sion. He's best. He always gets in the middle of the enemy team. What's good when you're always in the middle? A Frozen Heart to affect all of the carries.
Oh, yeah, and he's just a CC bot. He has so much ability to annoy people in a team fight. I mean, it's not even necessarily like... because in the late game, he doesn't do a whole lot of damage, does he? But
I don't think in the early game he does damage either.
I don't think he ever does damage. That's a very good point. Yeah, so... of course, just wants to make sure that he's unkillable, as Ninja is definitely killable, and the answering kill is going to be there. Actually, Teleport going to be cancelled, because, of course, Sky wanted to get in for some of that action. That Cho'Gath really annoying this King lineup.
Yeah, there was sort of a standoff there for Teleports, but both of the top laners end up cancelling it there, probably for the better there, as we do see that Ninja, after getting killed, does now have Morellonomicon, so not sure what he wants second. I think he might have been right about Abyssal for both of these AP mages, which is kind of hilarious given that they're going for a same build despite being very different champions. But again, MLXG on the Rengar, that's 3 kills for King, and all 3 of them he's been a part of.
Yeah, that's true. And getting a Rengar to a point where he's relevant is so important. I'm really glad you brought that up because, of course, now has his Warrior Enchantment here, and we've seen Rengar suffer so much in the LPL.
I mean, with the exception of maybe Loveling, who is even now at this point had some rough games on Rengar, and he's like, you know, the Rengar player there being OMG's jungler. I mean, turret's being picked up now for King, and MLXG, though, has had 2 different ultimates, and he's got 3 kills out of them. So that's a very cost-efficient use of an ulti, and we can almost always measure a Rengar's success based on how good his first few ultimates are. Yeah,
and a lot of it, it's sort of a lot like TF, isn't it? But, I mean, the fact that he's managed to capitalize off them and King haven't been taken advantage of, because, of course, Spirit has a whole lot more gank potential on this Rek'Sai earlier on.
I mean, Spirit has just not really been finding the ganks that he wants. He's setting them up reasonably well, but honestly, Ninja does more than enough on his own that they can set up CC if they move almost anyone through the lanes here. But Spirit has been farming well. He does have his warrior, and he's been controlling the map well, which is great for World Elite. They do have the first and only dragon in this game, remember. But Woosh now has just finished his Trinity Force.
This is exactly the right time here as well. Sky only needing about 1,200 gold until his Trinity Force is complete at the same time. Doesn't have teleport, but neither does Aluka, of course. Both of these members here on the top side. MLXG was hanging out, thinking that maybe he wants to kill Aluka, but, I mean, that's still deceptively unkillable.
Yeah, no, Aluka should have enough for his Frozen Heart now as well, so presumably going back to get it and does finish it. So that's a big item pickup here as World Elite lineup for the next dragon in a few minutes here. I noticed this from King in the last game. It's a little weird that they aren't grouping with their Corki to take down turrets, which is what we see from the best Corki players.
Yeah.
I assume in the last game he might have been trying to stop SDYZ free farming on the Jinx, but on Kalista, you're just never going to stop him splitting a lane.
No, that's true. And, of course, Kalista just has so much wave clear as well. You can put her in anywhere. You can put her in mid lane. She'll definitely be picking up that farm. No one else is going to be getting it because, of course, Rend decides when you want to kill something.
Yeah, it really does. And King, just like last game, have Ahri, who's got great wave clear at this point, especially with an Abyssal Scepter to help reduce the MR of the minions. So move Corki into the mid, swap your Ahri down towards the mid lane. She'll be totally fine against this Kalista. If you're feeling under threat, just bring Liam there to babysit, and that can be on you 2v2 lane. Yeah,
and World Elite are actually punishing King's decision not to move this Corki around, as they're going to put a lot of damage onto this outer turret in the mid lane. You can see Wushin now just sort of milling about, maybe wanting to take down a Wolf Camp, not entirely sure, but the World Elite now able to put pressure on the bottom side, and it looks like World Elite able to dictate the pace of this game.
Yeah, and that's exactly what they wanted, and what we saw from them in the mid-game in Game 1 here as well. So for World Elite, their question is, can they keep this going and execute when the mid and late game rolls around too? And, you know, how are King going to respond to you? Because, again, they've picked a very strong mid-game comp. The game is quite even at this point. It's basically dead even on gold, with World Elite just having a dragon up here. So, King, how are they going to navigate this second dragon fight? Because they really need to start contesting.
Yeah, actually, Orbit Deception onto Spirit here, doing a lot of damage. 30 seconds on that dragon. Spirit's going to immediately head back because, of course, needs to be there for when that dragon spawns. But you have to think now with double Trinity Force being completed on the side of King, they're more than happy to contest for this next one, despite Aluka being able to relentlessly push. Spirit being attempted to be followed, but not really going to happen.
Yeah, very speedy Rek'Sai there, but does get in a position, and good wards actually here, at least from this side for World Elite. Need to clear out some of the wards that King have set up actually in front of the dragon, but if anyone walks through there, like King, for example, they're going to have, again, a very easy time picking someone off.
Yeah, one thing as well is that Aluka's split push isn't that scary because, of course, we mentioned the fact that Sion doesn't do any damage. Left alone with this tower, he's not going to do all that much, but MLXG trying to start something off. There's a Tibbers onto two members as the Rupture finds Assassin as well. MLXG tries to get eaten. The Ignite is ticking down, but it's not quite enough as World Elite are melting now at the hands of King, but Assassin is the first one to fall. Wushin now going to follow. Arrow doesn't quite find its mark as SDY tried to pierce Wushin, and I thought that was going to go a whole lot worse for World Elite.
Man, such a sick use of CC again by World Elite. UJ came up massive in that team fight with the Tibbers for the double stun, and a beautiful Fates call by SDYZ pulled Annie out at the last second there. They only got a kill, but they didn't need to use any teleports, and Kalista more than happy to secure the dragon for team.
Oh yeah, easy. Maybe we'll even use Rend on it this time.
Yeah, he will stick around this time, and that's two dragons for World Elite. King with their double Trinity Force. We talked about it last game. This is the point where they're supposed to be winning team fights, and twice now in two different games, they've been unable to contest for that second dragon.
Yeah, and they sort of made the move as well. They're the ones that initiated, and it was the counter initiate to come through from World Elite that was just so strong. And it seems like that was their problem in the last one as well. I mean, they weren't able to initiate the fights that they wanted, but their re-engages were so beautiful.
Yeah, and World Elite now have initiation options as well between Annie and Sion. And Sion wasn't even there for that last fight.
Yeah.
There's plenty of options for World Elite. It's a really weird style to play around a hyper carry almost exclusively, but that's pretty much what World Elite's comp does here, and if this is how they want to play, congrats to them, because they're finally finding an identity, it seems like.
Yeah, they are, and they're looking fantastic so far. Of course, I mean, we're saying they're looking fantastic. It's a 400 gold lead, 300 gold lead, or something like that for World Elite, but of course, up a couple of dragons and looking to head into this late game with this Protect the Kalista comp that's looking great, and Ninja is much bigger on this Cho'Gath.
Yeah, literally and figuratively there as Woosh will move down towards the bottom lane, working on his Bloodthirster now as well. BF Sword and Vamp done for Kalista, so STYZ almost up to the very important 2-item threshold once he picks up the Bloodthirster here. And, you know, again, the gold lead's very even. I mean, a good rotation here might get them a mid-tower here, though I have to be careful of Assassin, and they will respect Ari.
Yep, Charm getting clear out the last minion here as well, and with no minion wave, they're definitely not going to be doing anything here. Ninja just looks so menacing on this skin.
Yeah, it really does here, and does have his Abyssal done now as well, so actually pretty good as far as overall teamfight additions go here as well. Even adding a bit of extra magic damage here for Annie, which is nice with the Abyssal, but most importantly, being tanky and disruptive, which is kind of what Cho'Gath and Sion both do. Again, the gold is not much, but MLXG.
Yeah, looking for an engagement here. The teleport from Sky coming in here as well. As King tried to kill Ninja, they find him. And World Elite not wanting to really answer here as Aluka just going to unstoppable onslaught his way out of trouble.
Yeah, and unfortunately Ninja, he does a lot of things well for his team. He's got decent damage and good CC, but he's still very squishy on this Cho'Gath without major health items so far. So World Elite will lose now. It's 5v4 under this turret. We'll see if they can hold on to it.
Yeah, STYZ takes a big one to the head here as well as Charm fails to find its mark. Sky trying to get amongst this turret, but Wushin suffering the Corki problem, which is not very high range.
Yeah, and this was the problem for King in the last game as well. They didn't need to siege because they got so many picks and were able to just win in the late game. But World Elite, again, they've been in this situation before. This is almost identical to what happened in the last game. They just have to make sure they don't let the mid-game slip out of their hands again. They should outscale here. They just need to execute fights.
Yeah, and MLXG actually looking to finish a Spirit Visage here, so a lot of respect going through to Ninja, who is doing a lot of work under him. Yujie actually doing a lot of damage here as well on this. Annie more than happy just to tank up these creeps. Stuns them all, and Ninja just has a bit of a dinner time.
Yeah, it is feast indeed there, and still keeping that mid turret up. Again, good wave clear here from World Elite, so have kept a lot of turrets up. Haven't taken very many themselves. Both Kalista and Corki suffer from similar problems as far as getting turrets with their short ranges does, but STYZ is finally done, it seems, with his Bloodthirster here. Should be done here. No, instead just walks away. Never mind, doesn't have enough gold, unfortunately.
Doesn't have any money.
No, can't finish that yet, so still waiting on that next big power spike for himself, but Spirit's getting tanky there with his Randy was almost done. A Spectre's Cal's been added in for Aluka there as well. There's lots of good news here for World Elite, but kind of like last time, they do outscale, but they have to make sure they stay even or ahead in this game, because King right now are still very strong.
Oh yeah, and these Trinity Forces are still very, very relevant at this stage of the game. But everything's so incredibly even. Ninja now does have the Mercury's Tread, so he's not going to be charmed up for as long. That's not as much of an issue here for this Cho'Gath. And STYZ is moving forward in his build and, of course, just in the stage of the game where Kalista is going to become sort of that E-bot, able just to set around these fights as he sees fit.
Yeah, still looking again for that second item here, and it's been a little delayed, it seems like. Corki still ahead on farm, so Woosh doing another great job here on this particular carry, but looks like World Elite are going to rotate in and finally get the mid-turret down.
Yeah, it's just going to be Ninja just eating it by the looks of things. Rupture not going to find Liam, but forced to use that flash over the wall. Does get himself a little bit of a stun for his trouble as well as Wushin's Tremor Sense watches him leave.
But World Elite doing a good job getting some wards down here, trying to get exclusive vision around the Dragon. Looks like King do have decent defensive wards, but STYZ still pushing in as well. Dragon back in a minute 20. World Elite would love to clear out some space around it.
Yeah, you can see World Elite looking to possibly put some pressure here onto the last remaining outer turret for them. Of course, King haven't taken a tower for a very long time, as the rocket is going to be used to try and take down the last remaining creep, but another wave was already there, so World Elite easily able to take down the last outer turret. Sky going to answer here on the top side of the map, but with him here and no teleport available, that may mean an inner turret for our members of World Elite.
Yeah, World Elite might get a second turret here, which would be great here. Sky's actually already backing off, so recognizes that he needs to group here with his team. Aluka actually, you know, yeah, he thought about it, but it's like, you know what, probably not even getting through the shield there, so just give the creeps to Assassin instead.
Yeah, unfortunately, yes, Iron Buddy, you don't have too much damage.
And I've talked so much about scaling in this game, and it's true, World Elite do have a good comp again here to sort of outscale King's big mid-game comp, but probably the most important thing to remember when you talk about scaling is that, sure, if you're even, that's great, because you get to a point in the game where your items are simply better than your opponents. The issue is, if you don't, oh, never mind.
Yeah, MLXG going to get caught out, does pop the ultimate here, just to try and get out through all the hunt going to be used, but not going to find much there as the smite comes through. MLXG securing something. Oh, another charm going to miss here for Assassin as Ninja comes around to try and pick something up. Prey Seeker from Spirit. Going to find its way in as well. You can see King members a little bit lower at this stage, but Assassin gets caught by a Rupture. Sky's here trying to get something done, but that's 5 members on top of him. A little bit dangerous. SYZ trying to come through for a rend. Another Rupture lands onto Sky. Could be in trouble. Fate's call to come out. There's the knock-up only onto Liam, though, as World Elite try and turn this one around. Ninja picks up the kill onto him as Assassin so incredibly low force. Use that flash. Wushin in so much trouble. The rend not quite able to pick up the kill, but an auto attack will finish it as MLXG trying to get onto STYZ. But look at how easily he kites around this fight, and Sky falls down. MLXG, you are going to follow, as that was actually Spirit falling down here as well, but you can see Callista, she's pretty good.
Well, it was a bit messy, but that's exactly what World Elite want out of that Callista comp. What I was just going to say is that you can be at the point where you need to be with your scaling comp. If you do nothing with it, it's like you never have an advantage in draft. That's exactly what World Elite were looking for. It wasn't the perfect time. The item timings lined up reasonably well, but they weren't massively outscaling. But World Elite picked such a good fight, and Callista just going to rend the dragon to pieces.
Yep, and that is yet another dragon taken here for World Elite. 3-0. And this is sort of a comp that wants to scale with 100% dragon control. That is scary.
Yeah, it's really scary. I mean, the movement is going to be fine for World Elite just because of how strong their rotations have actually looked all series long. I've been very impressed with a lot of their choices, and to be honest, not that impressed with King's choices. They've made good strategic choices while fighting for the most part, but their map movement's been a little bit surprisingly poor, actually, given what we have seen from King and previously. So World Elite looking together, they've got a game plan. They finally got an edge with it.
Yeah.
Just can they do the rest of it? Because we've seen, even in wins that World Elite have, the games can get a little long. So how cleanly can they execute from this point? Because they do need to finish the game.
Yeah, and despite being up all the dragons, a couple of turrets here as well, the gold's still very, very close. The items in the hands of all of these champions still very, very similar. And we'll see whether World Elite can push forward to that stage where they can just close out the game. Because, of course, this is what they're not quite as good at, is pressuring advantages that they get in order to really pick up what they need as far as objectives are concerned.
Yeah, absolutely. And the thing is, you can have all the advantages in the world. If you don't do anything with them, again, it's like you never had them to begin with. So World Elite, they've got finally on the front foot with a comp that they would love to have at this point. It's just a matter of executing the next bits of this game. And if King can find picks or hold on, and again, you noted the goal difference isn't that massive. King do have play here in this lane, but this is World Elite. At this point, this is World Elite's game to lose.
Oh, yeah. We'll see whether Wushin keeps getting caught out as well, because you have to think that the last few team fights, he's been in some interesting positions, and this Corki was a linchpin in their last comp on the side of King, and we'll see whether he can be there, of course. Not quite the 4-0-3 that he was at this stage in the last game, but of course that was his first death in the last one, but just unable to really get the damage down from the positions that he was in the last couple of times.
Yeah, I mean, a nice note from the last game. STYZ is finally ahead of Wushin Gold in the series, it feels like. It's not much. It's about 500-600, I think, at this point. But Corki was consistently 2,000 gold ahead of STYZ's Jinx in Game 1. So a marked improvement already, and this is a great rotation from World Elite.
Yeah, that turret already had a fair bit of work done to it from Aluka and easily gets taken down by the members of World Elite. MLXG actually looking to launch himself onto a pink ward, but look at the engage coming through from World Elite. MLXG just getting punished, and there's the lockup. The CC to come through. Ninja trying to get some work done on the backside, but they'll take their pick and they'll move forward.
He actually ate Liam there, so he did a lot of work there on the backside.
Just
on
eating
Ninja.
him. Okay.
I mean, of course you didn't see it because Cho'Gath Consume kills people pretty quickly, and Ninja's gone very aggressive on the AP front, but he pretty much zoned out 1v4, managed to eat a Janna for good measure on the way out. And again, this is exactly what World Elite's comp does. It might look silly with the sign running in, but they are so good at hard engaging.
Yeah, that was fantastic. And that Unstoppable Onslaught, sometimes it can be a bit comical when it's used because it just doesn't really work. But that was fantastic.
Yeah, Aluka's Scion has been really strong. They actually played this comp a few weeks ago, and they didn't manage to win the game, but they got very close against the top team in the LPL. So this, for me, Rek'Sai Scion specifically, seems to be something that World Elite are very good at playing together and something that fits how they want to be playing as a team. World Elite are still a team that are finding their new identity after, the organization in China having so much history, but this team being so new. And if this is more what we see from World Elite, they look very comfy. I mean, Game 1 was good for them, but this game looks even better.
Yeah, this is looking far better, and finally they've got a notable gold lead as well in about 3,000, so things looking a lot better for World Elite. We'll see whether they can transition into the Baron baits that they were potentially looking for. Actually, Spirit going to tunnel towards lane, but Yajana, pretty quick.
Yeah, and again, 3,000, like you mentioned, it's a lead, but it's not a massive lead. But
No.
when you have a comp that, just scales better than your opponents, the gold lead is worth more given the stats that you're getting for yourself at that point in the game and the items that you're picking up. So it might look like a short lead, but in reality, it's probably double, if not a bit more than that as far as actual gold lead goes, just based on the way World Lead's comp works.
Oh, Thrill the Hunt actually going to land on a Ninja here. The charm lands as well. Ninja just gets picked off by Assassin as King, they try and turn this one back around. Spirit in the top lane, Aluka in the bottom lane, and King trying to push down the mid.
Yeah, Ninja again, very squishy. Finally, it seems like, oh no, he actually sold it. Okay, I'm getting trolled by Ninja. He swapped between Zhonya's Rabadons and back to Zhonya's, I think, while he was debating his pick, dead in the fountain.
Yeah.
But finally, I think, makes the right choice as far as I'm concerned with the Zhonya's. Needs something defensive, but Spirit's in trouble.
Yeah, actually, UJ gets a 3-man Tibbers, though. Huge damage coming through with Lucian with the shield. Going to be quite okay. Aluka from the backside, though, trying to be this huge menace as Wushin doesn't want to be tanking up that tower. Aluka, though, he's going down so low, unable to really do anything here. Orb Deception comes down. The shield finally back up. Oh my goodness, Sion is such a ridiculous champion, but this outer turret, it's finally going to fall.
Yeah, the turret shield there as well, saving Sion's life there. Aluka clutching those last few shields, and when he gets a big health item, whether it's Randuin's or Warmog's, whatever he wants to go for, he's going to be almost impossible to kill, and it is Warmog's here for Sion. So you thought he was hard to kill before, Sion is about to get a whole lot scarier for King.
Oh yeah, well, not necessarily scary, but just has to be ignored. As soon as he's tanking damage, that is a win for World Elite.
It is, but unfortunately you can't fully ignore Sion because like we've mentioned, he does have plenty of CC and he's constantly applying the Frozen Heart aura to your team. Like Sion again, he might look goofy, he doesn't do very much damage, but he has one purpose in fights and that's get in and stay in.
Actually, here's Thrill the Hunt being popped. Aluka now with the Banshee's Veil available, but MLXG unable to find anything, and SDYZ just eliminates him. Wushin in a very uncomfortable position as Liam's just going to get eaten once more. Ninja just auto-attacks him, it seems, as Sky needs to get the heck out, but look at the CC train, and SDYZ with another kill, and this is so similar to the last series. Both of these teams just back and forth.
Yeah, I mean, World Elite, they were playing much cleaner here, and King are overextending in spots where they just can't afford to walk into the CC. We talked about World Elite's comp does it. Doesn't really protect its Kalista so much set up for it, but SDYZ, he can free hit all he wants at this point, given that when one CC lands for World Elite, the rest of them tend to land as well.
Yeah, it's almost like a no-brainer protect the Kalista comp, because all everybody else does in the team is stop other people from doing stuff.
Yeah, I mean, they've got decent peel here. Ninja can actually peel quite well on Cho'Gath. SDYZ on Kalista's already fairly mobile, and UJ can kind of move in there as well. Like, they have options to peel, but World Elite are happiest when they're constantly CCing King, and King are walking into fights with World Elite and just asking to eat CC.
Yeah, and World Elite able to pick up the 4th Dragon of the game, completely unanswered by King, as the Baron is possibly the next option here as they've taken that mid lane inhibitor. You can see there's some large minion waves here, especially on the bottom side, that World Elite are going to have to deal with, and we'll see who decides to go there, of course. Having Spirit down there, pretty handy, because that Void Rush, pretty good.
Yeah, Gold Lead stepping up now as well. I do like that you mentioned Rek'Sai down there. This is what a lot of junglers seem to like, and I think Rek'Sai suits Spirit a lot as well. We've seen that he does like to help carry his team and really be a big influencer, and you can't influence that much from the jungle unless you have a lot of gold. And Rek'Sai thankfully lets you free farm a lot of empty waves and gives you that gold. So it's not quite the super carry style that we saw from Spirit in the very early weeks of the LPL, but it's kind of a happy medium between both.
Yeah. I'm just going to continue to push until King try and answer this potential Baron to come through from World Elite, just playing it out very meticulously.
All right, just kind of looking through World Elite's items for a sec, because they just picked a massive amount of gold up here. Warmogs is done now for Sion. We already mentioned that Spirit's finally finished his... Ninja finished his Zhonya's. Spirit's already pretty tanky, but SDYZ has so much at this point on Kalista. He's got his 3 damage items, he's got a QSS and a Zeal for spare there as well. This Kalista is almost untouchable by King.
Yeah, almost at the cap as well as far as that attack speed is concerned. When that Phantom Dancer is completed, it's going to be very, very scary. Actually, no, it didn't go for the Blade of the Ruin King, so not going to quite be capped, but still going to be shooting pretty quick.
Yeah, 1.9 currently as far as attacks we go, and MLXG's diving in.
Yeah, launching himself right into the middle of this team as Howling Gale comes across everyone as well. UJ just going to get fake called as Assassin from the backside trying to get some work done. Look at all the knockups, and World Elite just having their way with King here. You can see a lot of damage coming through. SCYZ has died in the backside as Assassin manages to pick up that kill. UJ going to die as well, and somehow King turning it around after what was looking like a brilliant fight for World Elite.
I mean, Assassin finally does what his name suggests and assassinates the Kalista. Didn't have enough to keep him alive, and you have to think that maybe Talisman, while it's great here on Annie, it could have been the face of the mountain that he was initially going for, maybe with the Relic Shield. Could have even just been a Mikhail's here. They have to protect STYZ because you saw it. When he dies, World Elite has basically no damage left.
Yeah, and MLXG just, I thought that could have been a mistake, you know, launching himself into 4 members. He didn't even die then and set up the kill for Assassin there for STYZ in the backline. Beautiful play from King, and they're not done yet.
I mean, that was impressive given that, Ninja actually ate Assassin when the fight started and half health Ari, so Ninja did a very good job trying to zone Ari out, but as is kind of the thing with Ari's ultimate, it's kind of hard to truly keep her out of a fight.
Yeah, now has picked up the Void Staff here as well as that Rabbidan's Deathcap, as Sky just going to try and tank up these minions, but not going to be able to as Aluka continues the pressure. That is going to be the last remaining inner turret dead. 7 turrets to 2 in favor of World Elite. You can see the kills very, very similar, but that global gold definitely doing some work here for the World Elite members. Actually, MLXG is going to try and throw an empowered bowler, but doesn't quite get there.
Yeah, I mean, World Elite at this point really just have to be patient. The 5th Dragon for them is coming up. They can force a fight there if they want to. Baron is around. They can take Vision around it and try and force a fight there as well. And there's still a mid inhibitor down for King. The one thing World Elite don't want to do is get too aggressive and feel like they have to win the game right now because they still have an edge here. They just have to find the fights that they want, because when King is able to initiate on SDYZ and he dies, World Elite's comp does almost nothing.
Yeah. Ninja, though, is pretty big. Does have that elixir running as well, even though it's only sort of in the middle of his body because he's too large. And World Elite, are they going to start off the Baron? That's the question. Are they going to open up the engage potential here for King? Spirit pushing out this top wave. And you've got King able to pull back the pressure here as far as that dead inhibitor is concerned in the mid lane.
And I mean, it's still down. World Elite going to rotate in and push it out as well. Dragon is coming back up now in 1:45, so World Elite have their next thing to look at. King, I believe, don't have a single Dragon in this game. Yeah, still don't have one, so I mean, they're going to at least want to fight for their first one here, but World Elite, if they can continue snowballing that objective, all they need is one team fight at this point. But the issue is when you pick for late game, the team fights you try and pick are very high risk, high reward, because if you lose them, which theoretically you shouldn't because you outscale, but if you do, the death time has cost you so much more than they would in the mid game. Yeah,
and if you think about this last Dragon, though, I mean, King almost have to get it if they want to stay relevant in this game. 5th Dragon comes through, you've got 12% extra stats in comparison to nothing, whereas King managed to pick it up. They even out that stat gap.
I'm actually kind of surprised as well. Yeah, you are right. I mean, the stats are nice here, but oh, never mind. Aluka, oh, slowly going. Man, he's trolling us, but he's going in.
Yeah, that was some very interesting stuff as Aluka trying to get through here. Spirit's going to die, though, as Assassin grabs it. Lamb with a lovely Monsoon, going to try and get some work done as Orbit Deception to come through from Assassin to do a fair bit of work. Fate's Call comes back in here as well. And look at all these knockups. Assassin going to flash out. SDYZ picks up the kill, but Ninja's going to finally fall down. He's dancing around. SDYZ comes down. Is he going to be able to continue it? He doesn't. And Wushin picks up the kill. Aluka, of course, last man standing, and he finally dies. King somehow with a 5-for-1.
Yeah, I mean, World Elite just can't find the fights that they want. Assassin finally died there, but is relatively late in the fight. And King, again, they get outscaled, but it's not by a massive amount. And when World Elite can't protect this Kalista, things just go so wrong. I am so surprised that STYC doesn't have a Blade of the Ruin King and that Annie doesn't have some sort of peel, whether it's a Face the Mountain or Mikhail's. Annie actually has a Warmogs of all items here, and Spirit's going in.
Yeah, he might be able to actually pick up a kill here as MLXG. They're just going to turn it around. Spirit taking so much damage, but he does kill MLXG. Finally falls down to Sky as Liam is basically dead. They are going to be able to finish off this Baron.
Yeah, can't unfortunately steal the Baron for himself, which is the other thing Spirit could have potentially done after killing the jungler. Sure, he'll knock it off a couple members of King, but King now, we're looking for some way to pressure in this game. That's a good top wave there for Elite, but King should be able to clean it out relatively swiftly. In fact, no, they need this dragon, apparently.
Yeah, they do not care about that top wave at all. They want to deny this 5th dragon. The World Elite really, really wants Spirit still dead for another 20 seconds. But, oh, Yuji getting caught out here maybe a little bit, but, oh, almost dodges the tippers. Does Assassin.
This is very bad.
Yeah, Wushin just rockets him in the back of the head. King looking to try and turn something around. SDYZ and Ninja are here. Transcendent Blades just rifling through the team. But SDYZ does manage to snag Sky, and this is just a crazy turn of events.
I mean, King should have been a bit more afraid of World Elite there, but World Elite did not want to commit without an extra member. MLXG running back with the home guards as well. Instead, visits the Gromp casualty. King finally get a dragon. World Elite could have had an opportunity to go in there, but UJ went in a little too early.
Yeah, and that is the 5th dragon denied. So, of course, first dragon, that 6% stats are now available for both teams, and a Baron buff on the side of King. Finally, they're able to get a look into this game, and it's all evened up again.
It is, and this is the second game in a row where I can't help but credit UJ's play and kind of maybe just discredit his item builds. His play has been fantastic on both Thresh and Annie in this game, but he's building some weird stuff in these games. And last time, he didn't have the initiation tool with the Talisman, instead had the face amount where I thought they needed the Talisman. And this game is the opposite. He doesn't have the face or the Mikhails, and instead has the Talisman.
Yeah, and a Warmogs.
Well, you know, he does have a Warmogs. I'm not quite sure why that is, but
yeah, we're just not going to mention that.
You don't need other tanks. Like, protect SDY as he heals literally all of your damage at this point in the game. All you have to do as Zanny is keep him alive. But instead, apparently UJ thinks his life's worth more, which is not correct.
No, it's not. And Luca does have the Alacrity enchantment here, so not wanting to keep that teleport off cooldown. He wants to just be a little bit quicker in doing nothing around these fights.
Yeah,
well, not doing nothing. Of course, he CCs a lot. We've mentioned this, but I just find him so hilarious.
I mean, World Elite just have basically a one-threat comp here. It's very rare to see a team run pure protector carry here, but you can see some of the problems that it has. Sure, you've got great setup here, and you can really enable this Kalista, but if you get blown up by, you know, a stray Ari Charm or Corky coming in with some burst damage, or Liam, by the way, has been fantastic on the Janna ultimates there as well.
Yeah.
Constantly disengaging all of World Elite. It's very hard to engage. World Elite just don't have quite enough here to push over. I mean, Ninja is trying to do damage, but he's playing a tanky mage. He's trying to play like a burst mage, and I don't think he can actually 100-0 anyone unless he gets a full combo off.
Yeah, Baron actually about to run out here for King. Haven't really been able to get too much apart from an extra couple of outer turrets. Oh my goodness, that Rupture managing to stop MLXG as he tried to launch himself into the turret. And King going to be able to pick up another inner turret. So Baron is actually going to work out in the end. And Spirit, he might find himself a little bit caught out, but of course has a Banshee's Veil and has some tunnels as well, so he's going to be okay.
Yep, does borrow away, but I mean, World Elite have plenty of initiation, but I don't know if they can get onto key targets here. It's before, when they had at this point, they could have kind of snowballed fights by just brute forcing them because King didn't do enough damage. But now, both Assassin and Woosh do plenty of damage, and World Elite can't just run in with their super tanks expecting them not to die.
Yep, huge wave coming through for World Elite here on the bottom side of the map. As you can see, they are going to be forced to back away here as Wushin going to Valkyrie his way out. Scuttlecrab going to go down. Of course, Baron not going to be up for another 5 or so minutes. As the rest of King just going to head back to base, and it's almost like a stalemate's been reached.
I mean, a little bit. World Elite theoretically have an edge here, but I don't even know if that's necessarily true now that King are getting some items up. I will say that World Elite's side wave control has been excellent this game so far, so for a team that's maybe looking to execute more late-game strategies, the fact that they're on top of slow pushing these side waves is really good to watch. So, again, it's just a matter of them making a bit more of the advantages they have, and we talked about it with World Elite. They're a team that, unfortunately for them, hasn't won that many games and has looked like when they are winning or have won, has trouble closing them out. And I think it's true here for this game for World Elite. They've had an edge for a couple minutes here. They had a good window to really make something happen, and unfortunately, they've drawn it back to even, which is not where they wanted to be.
Yeah, and QSS now being finished by Wushin as well. Interestingly enough, that only really stops him from being able to get rid of the CC available from Yuji. because, of course, everything else seems to be a knockup.
I mean, there are a lot of knockups here, but the issue is when you eat one of them, you tend to eat the rest of them. So you need to get out of the initial one first. I mean, Woosh realizes that he's one of the big threats here on his team, so he needs to stay alive and do damage. And it's hard to do that when you're a short-range Corki. The issue, though, is that if World Elite can't get through the King frontline, it's pretty tanky here between Rengar and Aurelia. Woosh, once the fight kind of keeps going, can just jump on top of SDYZ once the rest of World Elite get low enough. And sure, they're tanky, but SDYZ, we've talked about Kalista. She's not a tank buster, especially with this build. So hard to get through these big tanks, and Rengar and Aurelia right now are fairly massive.
Yeah, and MLXG as well now has basically double Randuins, because of course that Righteous Glory going to get him straight into that fight, then has that explosion of slow, then can slow again. He's going to have consistent CC in this fight, has popped that Thrill of the Hunt, but doesn't quite manage to find his way into anything that he's looking for. Rupture going to come through here as well as the Prey Seeker doesn't find its mark. There's a Sentinel hanging out. So far, World Elite unable to find what they're looking for. Neither are King. They want to get something happening. Of course, Baron no longer up on King, despite the particle there. Just having a little bit of a confusion moment.
Yep. Wish that will clean up minions in the top wave. Again, World Elite have been very good at pushing out this Sargos. They actually currently are cleaning out the bottom side of the map as well. So King have started answering in kind with the slow pushes here. I mean, Rengar popping the ulti, totally fine. It's actually on a 49-second cooldown currently, so pretty much up more than every minute at this point, so Rengar can just use it fruitfully to try and get a pick here. Because again, King, as soon as they get a pick, especially if it's onto SDYZ, if he's got horribly out of position, King are going to have no problems at all in this game. Because again, when SDYZ dies, no one else from World Elite really does any damage.
Yeah.
I mean, except for Ninja, but he's having so much trouble get onto key targets here with his burst that he might as well just be another tank.
Yeah, it's true. And speaking of SDYZ and doing damage, he is now 6-item Kalista. So now is the time to be doing damage. Now is the time to be starting fights, and MLXG listened as he's going to go straight in there. Wushin forced to use that Valkyrie out very early on in this fight. SDYZ still alive here in the backline. Ninja going to Zonyu's himself as assassin, looking for SDYZ. He's going to fall down. Sky picks up the kill as Wushin now knows that it's time to get back into this fight. The rest of King now tearing World Elite apart, and you're talking about them needing that SDYZ in their lineup. And he's no longer there, and they lose the fight clean as an ace comes through for King.
World Elite just don't have peel for this Kalista. There's no way for him to get out of anything other than a QSS. There are no heals, they're not peeling for him, and SDYZ just can't do anything against Rengar Ari, and unsurprisingly, World Elite have to give the game up.
Yeah, that is the surrender vote coming through, but they would have probably lost that one anyway because, of course, able just to push right through there. But you have to hand it to King. They played perfectly as far as getting the fights that they wanted, especially in the last few minutes of that game.
I mean, if we want to sum it up kind of neatly, I think the best way to put it is that King understood their win conditions, and World Elite didn't. And not to say that both teams didn't make mistakes during that series, there were some moments where both teams looked a little shaky, and hilariously enough, World Elite looked very strong in the early mid-game, and King looked much stronger in the late game, where you'd think with how the team comps are picked, those things would be reversed.
Yeah, it's a little bit strange, but actually, Sky coming back here on the Aurelia yet again, we're seeing shades of why he was so famed on that champion, he was actually the one that got the kill on SDYZ towards the end. They just said, let's Zerg this guy, get him out of the fight, and they knew exactly what they had to do. So definitely credit to King, but you're right, World Elite just were unable to really use their comp, which had a lot of sort of peel potential. I mean, just didn't quite manage to.
Potential might be the best word to describe World Elite right now. They've started looking a lot stronger. Yeah, a little bit. They've started playing a lot better, a lot more together. I like a lot of their drafts. They're clearly finding their own identity, and some of that is sure, like big SDYZ hyper carry, but he's the kind of player that eventually can get to that point. It's just a matter of World Elite haven't quite have it all figured out yet, and King have just been a little bit more experienced together as a team. Seem to have.
Yep. Well, it was beautifully played here by King, but we are going to be going into our next match, our last matchup of the night. OMG going to be taking on EDG, and you definitely do not want to miss that one. We'll be back right after this.